All right, all right, all right, all right, all right. What's up, Facebook? What's up, YouTube? What's up, Instagram and Instagram? I'm actually testing streaming on multiple Instagram sites at the same time for the first time, which is really kind of cool. I'm excited about that. Um, just recorded a recent new podcast episode, and I want to rant about it a bit because I think everyone needs to hear this. Okay. And I called it should artists list price on their website? And really, what this is the gallery test. Okay. The price part of it is actually completely, not completely, but somewhat irrelevant. So I'm going to roll along on this for a hot minute, rant for a little while. And if you've got questions, feel free to fire them off. I'm just going to pin 2 comments here. Have questions, fire away, and I will do my best to answer those as we go. Have questions, fire away, post, pin, and then I will get right into it. But I think this is a good message. I think a lot of you guys need to sorely, badly, seriously hear this message because it is just so critically important. Okay. And on this most recent podcast episode, Art Marketing Podcast, if you've never heard of it, you guys should. It's really good. Anyway, I don't need to get into that. The subject, the premise, the heuristic, if you like, okay, is that everything that we do, when I say we, I mean everyone that's watching this. Yes, painters of all kinds, yes, artists of all kinds, yes, creators of all kinds, yes, photographers of all kinds, okay? The catch-all artist terminology, if you're so inclined. Everything we do in the digital world, okay, should mimic what we do in the real world. What works and what is proven to work already. That one line right there sums up everything that's wrong with the way that creatives and artists and photographers market themselves online and off. Everything that we do, okay, in the digital world should mimic what we do in the real world. And if you let me unpack this, I think you will find it incredibly interesting and enlightening, and you'll be shaking your head after you see this, and you're going to go, "Oh my God, he's right! Look what I've been doing. How have I been doing what I've been doing?" So it starts with your website, right? It starts with your website, okay? And the greatest gift that you guys have as creatives, okay, is having the creative gifting, is being able to create the way that you can. And the biggest disaster, how that gift is applied to the website, is you guys treat websites, specifically your websites, okay? You treat them like a blank canvas. You treat them like a photographer composing an image. And because you guys understand color composition, because you understand depth of field, because you understand framing, because you understand the rule of thirds, you treat that website like you would a piece of artwork. Okay. So when you guys build a website or when you pick some sort of a template from a template library or however you go about doing it, you apply your creative genius to it and you get this thing that more often than not looks beautiful. Okay. The problem with that is that it utterly, totally, and completely ignores the paradigm for how art and photography has been sold probably for millennia. It doesn't matter what culture, what language, where you are in the world, the paradigm for how art is sold is in an art gallery. The paradigm for how art is viewed is in a museum. Okay. And it doesn't matter where you are in the world, all museums and all art galleries look the same, right? What does every museum and every art gallery look the same? You're talking about a minimalist layout inside these places. There's no distractions. Monochromatic walls, okay, usually white. The art, the creations hanging on the wall, the sculptures on pedestals, they're well lit. Maybe there's a little placard talking about it, and there's nothing else. There's nothing else, okay? And yet, when I go and look at artist websites, at photographers' websites that you guys build on your own, there are so many goofy, stupid things going on fancy fonts and different colors and slideshows. And back in the day when you could auto stream music, it used to be music, that it would be a modern day miracle if anyone actually saw the damn artwork. Okay. And I don't know where this screwy notion got into creatives' heads. Okay. That you can somehow create your own website, and if it looks beautiful, everything is just going to work out for you. But it is just so completely off the mark, because it is an area of an art business where you are trying to fight against the paradigm for how art is sold. Your website, and do not take this cynically. I saw someone complaining earlier in one of the comments, like, I wish they would show the price. I would like to know something I could afford. And I understand that there's certain people that don't like that we don't share the prices of our websites, but don't take it cynically. Okay. Yeah, you can get a website with us, but guess what? Yeah, there's a lot of other places that you can get a website too. Okay. The rules, the paradigm for how art is sold online is one of the most important things that I could possibly teach, no matter where you are, no matter where you decide to put your website up. Okay. Everything that we do in the digital world should mimic what we do in the real world. What works and is proven to work already. Okay. What works and is proven to work already is the modality of what art looks like in a gallery. Okay. There's so many things that is important about this. It's so important to get this right, right? Real galleries price the work. They frame it, they light it, they sell it. Okay. Most artist websites do none of this. In addition to that, like, just to get on a quick little side tangent rant about things, one of the things that drives me nuts, okay, about the notion of I am going to have my art up on a website and I'm going to sell it and I'm going to do it my way rather than following the paradigm that exists. You guys, you don't sell JPEGs. You don't sell JPEGs. You don't sell PNGs. And for damn sure, we know no one sells NFTs. Okay. Your art needs to be visualized like it is, like a 3D piece of art that is on the wall in the real world when you're inside of the gallery. You cannot get by any longer just showing JPEGs. Okay. JPEGs, digital images of your artwork, worked 20 years ago, when the JPEG was a novel item. Okay. Now, most people, by the time they even get out of bed in the morning, have probably already seen 10,000 JPEGs. Anytime that we are bombarded with that many individual things, we just tend to get inured to them. We get numb to them. They elicit no response. It doesn't matter how good your artwork is. Okay. It doesn't matter whether you talk about the experience, the real world experience inside of an art gallery. Okay. Or whether you talk about the biggest art sellers on the planet, right? In the podcast previous, I highlighted Gray Malin and I highlighted Weiland, right? Two masters that are selling multiple millions a year in art, okay, which is what everyone's stated goal is for the most part that's an artist, to try to have a business that's successful or even mildly successful, right? And they follow all these rules. So the greatest art sellers in the world follow all these rules. They are mimicking the way that art is sold inside of an art gallery, right? All of the art storefront sites follow these rules because it mimics what is in the real world in an art gallery. And yet, what do most artists and photographers do left to their own devices? It is a simple static site, which you can't view the work. You can't see it with the different media types. You can't see it hanging on the wall, okay? And yet, all the whales do that. All the biggest art sellers in the world do that. And why do they do that? Because they're not trying to reinvent the wheel. Okay. You cannot reinvent the wheel. You have to stick with what is proven. An art gallery in the real world is exactly the paradigm that we are trying to mimic online. Okay. Think about an art gallery experience, and you need to design your website from top to bottom around it. Okay. And where did this other notion, and this absolutely infuriates me when I see it. Okay. And it infuriates me because I don't want you guys to do it and I want you to do better. Okay. This notion of like artists and photographers that have a beautiful website, and you guys are incredibly creative. You can design beautiful things. I've seen plenty of them. The work's up there. It's beautiful. There's maybe one little artistic photo of the artist, one little artist bio on there. Maybe the fact that you were in a juried show or you won some award or you got into a fair. Okay. And then contact for prices. get in touch with my representative. Now exclusively available at such and such gallery. Okay. I find that whole thing to be so pretentiously stupid. It is mind boggling to me. You might as well hang a sign around your neck that says, don't ever, you can look at my art, but don't ever buy it, right? There is not a single solitary prime art seller, okay, that is actually killing it online that does that nonsense. Contact me for prices. Go ahead and contact my agent. That is the dumbest thing I have ever seen in the history of mankind. It actually does infuriate me, right? Because somewhere along the lines, some really good selling artist who does have representation puts that nonsense on their website, and everyone's like, I'm going to copy that one, right? I'm going to copy that one instead of I'm going to copy what Weiland's doing, or I'm going to copy what Gray Malin's doing, because those guys are selling way more than the previous mentioned artist. It's trying to be mysterious with contact me for prices, contact my agent. That does not work. That is reinventing the wheel. That is doing something that does not exist in the real world, right? Everything that we do in the digital world is just trying to mimic what works in the real world, what works and is proven. Do not fight the paradigm of how art is sold. Do not try to take something that's not proven and thinking you're going to nail that when your website gets up and it's online, okay? It is so asinine every time I see it. It is not going to help you sell art. Your job, if I come to your website, is not to be mysterious, okay? It's not to hide behind some stupid contact me for prices, It doesn't work. It's never worked. None of the pros do it, okay? What works in the real world inside of an art gallery, okay, is you walk into an art gallery. There's other people in there. The gallerist is walking around somewhere, okay, ready to talk to you. There's little placards. Prices should be listed, okay? And the data, by the way, on whether or not prices are listed, like I titled the podcast episode this, which you guys should all go listen to, should artists list prices on the website? I could surface 10 million quotes from every single solitary trade publication that exists in our industry, right? And there's not a whole heck of a lot. There's the Hiscox report, there's the Art Basel report. Artsy puts out a ton of reports, which are great, but buyers would like more clarity around pricing. Is the published price the best price, as well as pricing history? For millennial buyers, and I don't even think this stat is right, okay, for millennial buyers, I would say any buyer under 50 just wants to see the damn prices. What does the thing cost? Okay, don't waste my time. I'm likely to get distracted by this thing in 2 seconds. Just tell me what the doggone thing costs. Okay, just tell me what the doggone thing costs. Do not have your art up on a website without prices. Do not have your art up on a website just as two-dimensional JPEGs, okay? And do not say contact me for follow-up. Just list the doggone prices, guys. Everything that we try and do in the digital world is just meant to mimic the paradigm, the established pattern of what works in the real world. And if you can think that way, immediately things in your art business will start changing, okay? I would go as far to say everything in your art business will start changing because you're playing by the rules, right? You're playing by the rules. And it's like, I don't know why they didn't teach it in art school. I don't know why they didn't teach it in photography school, okay? Like, you know, everyone learned all the periods and all the masters. We learned about Monet and Manet, and I took these classes too, and Van Gogh and Renoir, right? And Jackson Pollock, and into some of the modern masters. And then on the photograph side, it was Muybridge, Edouard Muybridge, and Henry Cartier-Bresson, and Louis Hine, and Dorothea Lange, and Ansel Adams, right? No one in there was, hey, let's not just study the masters, okay, the master artists, the master photographers. Let's study the masters that are actually selling a tremendous amount of art in today's day and age. Why don't they focus on those guys? Because when you look at those guys' websites, okay, they are following the paradigm. Their websites look like a modern day art gallery. That's it. That's it. It's very, very simple to do. And when you cement this line into your head, it applies to absolutely everything. Okay. It applies in pillars, not that quote, this quote. Everything that we attempt to do in the digital world should mimic what we do in the real world, what works and is proven. Proven is the most important line there, right? So the first pillar, it absolutely applies to your website, right? Okay, great. Pillar number 2, and I'm going to have to rant on this a little bit, right? We're going to stay on the art gallery modality for a minute here. If you had an opening event in an art gallery, okay, and I walked into your art gallery, right? And I walked into your art gallery, okay? What would be going on in there on opening night? You'd be in there. The gallerist would be in there. Some of your friends would be in there. Like-minded people that are there to see the art would be in there. And I would be able to come up and I would be able to have a conversation with you, okay? I would get to know you a little bit. You would get to know me. Yes, we would talk about the art. Yes, there would be wine. Yes, there would be cheese, probably some music playing. It would be a jovial atmosphere. It would be awesome. I would want to come back to that. That is the modality of what your social media should be. Okay. And I've ranted a ton about this in the past. Okay. And I'm getting questions. I'm gonna answer this one quickly. I am in the UK. Are you saying it would be better to have the price in pounds sterlings rather than US dollars? No, I would list both. Okay. List both because don't make me think. So that's what I would do, Joanna. But stay with me. If I walked into the art gallery opening night, right? And let's say your art gallery was on the high street, it was on Main Street, it was in the mall, wherever it is, and it's a gallery show, it's opening night. I would walk in, I would probably get a glass of white wine. I would look at a couple of pieces of the work and I would come up and I would start talking to you and trying to get to know you. And do you know what you would do? You would be awesome. Because in the real world, you're really good at having conversations. You're really good at articulating your art. You understand the social dynamics of having a conversation in person, face to face. I would get to know you. I'd start to bond with you. It would be awesome. Maybe I would have a chat with the gallerist. Then I'd go back to get a second glass of white wine, and then I'd be talking to some of the other patrons in there, and I very well might buy something. I mean, it might come back to you again. Might come back to you again and see if there's a deal that I could get on something. It would be an awesome conversation. It would be an awesome evening, and there would be a ton of fun stuff going on there. Okay. Now let's talk about, and to put that succinctly, you would be a human being and you would have conversations, right? You would be a human being and you would have conversations. Okay. Okay. Well, let's apply that to how you approach your social media, because your social media, by a larger extent, your email marketing, your marketing at a macro, it is just there to mimic the paradigm of what works in the real world, of how you would be in that gallery opening, of how you would be in that show, how you would be that night. Now look at your social media and tell me whether or not it comports to that. Or have you somehow thought that your social media, your email marketing, your bio on your website, your artist statement, where did we get this asinine idea that artists who are really good at having conversations with people in the real world about their art all of a sudden turned into the biggest corporate salesman logos in the history of mankind? What does everyone's social media look like? Art, 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 more art, my process of my art, 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 art. What in the hell is that? Like, honestly, what is that? When do you ever behave like that in the real world? Are you telling me I would come into your gallery opening? Hey, so Gru's here. Hey, Gru, nice to meet you. My name's Patrick. And Gru just goes, here's my art. There's my art. There's my art. There's my gallerist. Art, 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 art. Here's a photo of me creating my art. Art, 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 art. Here's my art hanging on a wall. You would never have a conversation with me like that. You would never do it. You would never, ever do that. And yet we think because it's social media, somehow the rules have all changed, that we can somehow ignore the paradigm. Everything that we do in the digital world should mimic what we do in the real world. What works? What is proven already? Okay. And your socials, your emails, the about me statement on your site, your Instagram bio profile, all of it, it should be a conversation. You should be a human being. You should not be a logo. You should not be some sort of corporate entity that is trying to ram your art down people's throat at like machine gun status, just art, 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 art. Yet that's what most people do. That's what most people do. And then you know what they do after the fact? Instagram and Facebook were so much better back in the day. The algorithm is rigged against me. It's rigged against me, I tell you. This will never work for me, right? And it breaks my heart when you say that, because the algorithm is not some fancy robot program thing by nerds meant to ruin us. Okay? All the algorithm is a proxy for, is this an interesting human being? That's it. And every one of you is an interesting human being. But somehow you think the minute you get to social media, it's all about just machine gun firing your art, your photography, your creations, and nothing else. Be a human. Have conversations. Okay? The minute you start doing this, the algorithm is going to reward you. The minute you start doing this on your emails are going to reward you. You're going to get more responses. You're going to get more conversations. Okay? The paradigm of your website looking like an art gallery, your social is really for you just to be a human being and have conversations. Okay? The notion that your art, your creations are the commercials. They're the commercials. In order to be able to show commercials, a television channel, and we barely have television channels anymore, they're going out of business. A television channel, okay, has to have programming to earn the right to be able to show commercials. Without the programming, you can't just show commercials. Okay? You can't do that, can you? There's not a television channel that's just commercials. No one would tune into that. So when you're being self-critical, when you're down in the depths in yourself and you're saying social media doesn't work, my marketing doesn't work, all I'm getting are likes, the algorithm is rigged against me, and all of the various different things that come up in that capacity, ask yourself whether you're just showing commercials. Are you just showing commercials? Can you be honest with yourself and look at your social media and look at your email marketing and look at your website copy and ask whether or not you're just showing commercials? Nobody wants to watch commercials all the time, you guys. And that's why that machine gun blast art does not work. It does not work. It is attempting to do things that don't exist in the real world. You would never be like that. You would never be like some sort of selling all the time corporate entity. You would never be just a logo. You would be you, and you would have great conversations because you all do it all day and you're great at it. You have no problems with them, right? So important. The third pillar, okay? The third pillar. And all of this, again, I'm really working on rote here, okay? I'm really working on rote here. So everything that we do in the digital world should mimic what we do in the real world, what works and is proven to work already, okay? I've had to learn this lesson the hard way in my career a ton of times. Do not fight against proven, okay? The odds of you winning against proven are like the odds of winning the lottery, you guys. Trying to win by doing something that is against the grain of what is proven, okay, is a recipe for failure. It's like winning the lottery. It's not going to happen. So don't do it. Don't do it. Everything that we do in the digital world just seeks to replicate the paradigm, the proven thing in the real world. Okay. Let's stay on the art gallery. Pillar number one, your website being an art gallery experience. Okay. Yes, we have them at art storefronts, but yes, look at every top art seller that's not on art storefronts. Their sites all look like art galleries. Okay. Look at their social media. They're being human. They're having conversations. Okay. You got to do that. That's what you would do in the real world. The third pillar, I will admit, is the hardest one. Okay. It is absolutely the hardest one. But when we stay in this frame of mind that everything that we attempt to do as creatives online is just mimic what works in the real world, art gallery website, your marketing, which is be human and have conversations, is just a proxy for what you would do in that art gallery on opening night. You know what the third one is? the art gallery's doors have to stay open. If you are going to have an art gallery, stands to reason the doors need to remain open. The shop needs to remain open. Okay? The shop, the gallery, those doors remaining open is a proxy for whether or not your marketing is consistent. If you owned a gallery, would you close it for weeks at a time? If you owned an art gallery, would you put a sign on the door that says, sorry, closed for summer, artist got burned out? If you owned an art gallery, would you start taking Thursday to Tuesday off and just leave it with the doors closed and the lights off? You would never do that. You would never do that because you would lose out on the serendipity of everyone that would want to come into that gallery, right? Like, you know, what are the lines that I have in my little slideshow? A gallery dark on a Wednesday loses every Wednesday walk-in. Consistency beats brilliance over a 5, 10, 20, 30-year horizon. The doors have to stay open. You cannot go dark as an artist on your marketing and expect to get anywhere. Okay? I know that this is the single solitary, and let me just say it succinctly, being consistent with your marketing. And I'm not just talking about posting on the socials. I'm talking about capturing emails all year long, online, offline, writing emails to that email list all year long, running sales and marketing campaigns when it's important to do so. Okay. Posting to the socials consistently. That is just a proxy for keeping the doors to your gallery open. That's it. And when is a gallery open? It is always open on the most important times. A gallery would never close on the weekends. That's when all the foot traffic comes. A gallery would never not be open on the huge holidays because that's when people are spending money. And yet, what do artists and photographers do? You market for a hot minute, you get burned out, you close the gallery doors, and then sometimes you don't open them for weeks or months or maybe even a year. And then you're like, gosh, my art business isn't going anywhere. I don't understand. This is so hard. What am I doing wrong? You can't close the doors on the gallery, you guys. You can't do it. Do not close the doors on the gallery, you guys. And when you think about it, when you think about the whole thing, sorry, someone's calling me. I'm sure that's going to get into my thing. Stop. Go away. Go away. There it goes. Sorry. When you literally like zoom out for just a minute, okay, and you think of everything that we do in the digital world should just mimic what we do in the real world, what works and is proven to work already. If you just think like that, if you just evaluate your marketing through that lens, okay, the consistency of your marketing through that lens of what your website looks like, you will go from an art business that's getting very little traction, very little movement, no consistent growth. And it's just going to keep going up and up and up and up and up. And I've said this a bunch of times, but I know on these live broadcasts, not everyone listens to all my podcasts or has heard me say it before, but you have to understand the creative gifting, you guys, because it is unlike any other gifting I've ever seen in the world. And this comes from a guy who's been running webinars and talking to artists and photographers since 2020. I've probably run 1,000 webinars. I've probably talked to 10,000 creatives. And week in, week out on my webinars, on my various different sessions, I am continually and repeatedly blown away by the fact that people show up in their 60s, in their 70s, in their 80s, in their 90s, and occasionally people that are over 100 years old. Artists and creators of every stripe imaginable all over this country and others. That is a wild thing to contemplate. What I take away from that, what you should take away from that, what is so important to understand is that the creative gifting will never turn off. Your desire to create, to have those creations get feedback, okay, and to ultimately sell those creations will never, ever, ever leave you. until the last day that God or whoever you believe created you has for you on earth, you will be creating. You will want people to see those creations to get the feedback and sell them. And I think that is such a profound point, because for me, I'm a marketing guy and I enjoy marketing and I'm good at it. And I'm going to hit it as hard as I can until it's my time to retire. And then I am not going to market anymore. I'm going to work on gardening and cooking and maybe learn how to train a dog or something. Okay. I will move on to something new with the time that I have left on this planet. But that's not the way that it works for you. Okay. You guys will never stop. And when you think that way, you realize that some of you are saying you're in their 20s in the comments, and some of you are saying you're in the 30s. You guys, the majority of people watching this have it at a minimum 20 years left in the art business. Some of you have 50 or 60 or 70 years left to get this right. Okay? To get this right, to get the business actually moving forward year after year after year. In the way that you do that, the simplest way I can sum this up, everything that you do in the digital world, yes, on your website, yes, in your socials, yes, in your marketing, and really, yes, in person as well, is just what works. Do what works in the real world, okay? What is proven to work already. Own your own website. Have your work up on the website. Have it be viewable on a wall, okay? Have it be viewable in frames and with texture. Publish prices. Capture emails, okay? Go look at Art Storefront sites and copy them if you can't afford one. Sign up for Art Storefronts if you can. Go look at Gray Malin's site. Go look at Weiland's site. Go look and see how Christie's does it. Go look and see how Artsy does it. Go look and see how Saatchi does it, okay? There is a reason that all of the top art sellers in the world all have sites that represent what an art gallery looks like, because it works. That's the paradigm that works in the real world. Go and look at any of those folks' marketing, okay? They're human and they're having conversations. They are not an art cannon firing art, and nothing else the whole time, because it doesn't work. You don't get anywhere on social media doing that. You don't get anywhere with your marketing doing that. And the third, you guys, the gallery doors have to remain open. You have to be consistent. There are going to be some years where life happens. You're sick, a family member's sick, you go through a bad breakup or a divorce, you lose a family member, you got injured, a kid gets sick, whatever the case may be, those things happen. Life happens to all of us. That means that some years are going to be better than others. There are going to be some years where the gallery is not open as much as it should be, and that's okay. And the reason that's okay is because most of you have 20 to 70 years left to get this business right. You just can't close up shop for an entire year, because momentum is real. Forward progress is real. You don't want to lose it, okay? You don't want to lose the momentum. If you can just get the momentum going, okay? Some years are going to be better than others, but you're going to continue growing an actual art business that will be with you for the rest of your art selling life. And that is so, so important. So that is my rant for today. If you want the much more in-depth version of that, go listen to the podcast. It's called the Art Marketing Podcast. It's on Spotify. It's on YouTube. It's on anywhere podcasts can be downloaded. And you can get a more in-depth dive on it. And I'm going to continue ranting on this because I think it is one of the most important things that an artist at any stage, okay, could learn. Everything that we do in the digital world should just mimic what works in the real world, what works and is proven. Fighting against proven, you guys, is like trying to win the lottery. The odds are just not good. Thanks for watching, you guys. And everybody have a great rest of your day.